Yeah.
Okay, we are in the middle of Shaar Aleph, Parak Tez Zayin. Let me just do a 1 minute refresher memory, and that is that the Yesod that Reb Chaim Volozhin seems to be very adamant about is that although we have a neshama, the neshama is not atzmusay shel yisbarach. The neshama is a nitzoitz of or, which comes from the neshima of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not like we're walking around with God inside of us. That seems to be his shita. And he says that there's two exceptions that we know of. One exception is Adam HaRishon, Koydem HaChet, that the neshama was the Tzelem Elokim of Adam HaRishon, that he had the neshama was like Mamash Hatzmusa Yisbarach inside of him. But when he did the chet of the Eitz Hadas, so the neshama flew out of him, or I shouldn't say the neshama flew out of him, I don't know. But the Atzmusa Shel Yisbarach flew out of him, and it was Chayfei Allah. That's his lashon, which is also the lashon of the Zohar. And then we learned that's his shita, and he spoke about. Let me just remind you that he gave a mashal from Chazal to a child who sits on his father's lap, and the father tries to feed him from the tamchui, and he says, "No, I want it straight from your mouth." Now, so the father, Ma'asa ha'av nasamlei, the father gives it to him. Now, that's mashma the what? What are we learning from that story? What's the nimshal? The what?
We want straight from Hashem.
We want straight from Hashem. V'nasamlei. It was the end of the story. Is v'nasamlei, and he gives it to him. So he's learning, which seems to me to be. I want to be biased to this, but it seems to be like punkt verkehrt for what he's trying to say, that he was giving us from the tamchui, from the serving plate. We said no. The kid says no. We don't want that. We want straight from your mouth. For whatever reason, the kid says that. So it's mashma that we do have straight from the peh of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's a little bit of a, why is he bringing a mashal, which is soiser his shita, straight from the peh, straight from the peh.
Yeah, but the food isn't the father. The food is something the father gives, no matter what. It's still a separate
even if
thing.
it's minishu. So in other words, it gets closer, but not. It's not yet
The etzem.
the etzem. He's not giving him his tongue. Right? He's giving him his food. Okay. So then we learned. This was a little bit of an aside, which wasn't such an aside in the Haggadah, and I pointed out to you. We learned inside the machlokes between the Nefesh Hachaim and the Baal HaTanya and the Indian of Tzimtzum. So you can't skip the Indian of Tzimtzum. So Tzimtzum, the question of Tzimtzum is, we learned this inside, I don't want to get into it further because it's a lifelong study, unless you want to. But the Indian of Tzimtzum, the Pashtus, means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he created the world, was mitzamsem himself in the Bria, which is likely, according to the Baal HaTanya, it's likely because where did he go? Like it's not like Hashem could be moved from here to there. So it's likely, and according to Nefesh Hachaim, it's unlikely that could be the case because then you're giving HaKadosh Baruch Hu gvulim, and you're giving HaKadosh Baruch Hu here you are, here you're not. So okay, machlokes between two gedolei hadar. I don't know how to pascha that one, but there are huge ramifications to tzimtzum. That was the Haggah. Now let's go back to the text. Back after the Haggah, let's look inside here. V'zeh shabru, that presumably he's going with his shita. Zeh shabru, this is the pshat in the Chazal. Shamru sham. The sham is where he gives the mashal of the tamchui. Before we talked about tzimtzum. And there it says, B'shasha abdu Yisrael al Har Sinai l'kabelas haTorah, that when Klal Yisrael, and this is Babish Yad of the Yoba, as we approach Shavuos, that B'shasha abdu Yisrael al Har Sinai l'kabelas haTorah, hayu mevachshem lishmaya hadibros mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu. there was a bakasha of Klal Yisrael to hear the Aseres HaDibros straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, this is not true. What was true was the opposite way. That the I'll just read you the Chumash here. Just open up to make sure. In Parshas Yisrael, Paraklaf, Elohecha Hashem Elokecha, Aseres HaDibros, which you're familiar with. And then it says, Shvi v'chol ha'am royim es ha'kolos v'es ha'lapidim v'es kol ha'shofar v'es ha'har oshein. Everybody saw everything. Vayar ha'am v'yanu v'yamdu mirachik. And when Klal Yisrael saw the Sinai experience, they vayanu v'yamdu mirachik. They were taken aback and they stood back. Vayoymru el Moshe, and they said to Moshe, Daber ata imanu v'nishma. We want to hear from you. V'ayadaber imanu elikim. We don't want to hear straight from Hashem. Pen namus, because this is a deathly experience. We will die if we hear it straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Or maybe we will die. Pen namus. So the bakasha of Klal Yisrael was hafuf. The bakasha of Klal Yisrael was not to hear straight from Hashem.
Well,
He wanted it direct, but he realised he can't take it now. It's too much.
So the order was.
They wanted it direct.
So when did they say this?
after the first two, no?
This
Okay.
is after the first
So
one.
let's okay. Everybody's wrong. Let's figure out the chronology here. You're right. I mean, it's all a mishmash, right? So I mean, this thing you're right about. But like, what's the chronology? All I'm saying is that the pasuk says before, during, after. Rabbi Berel Wein. This is written after the Aseres HaDibros. First it says, Vayidaber Elokim, not Vayidaber El Moshe. Well, the pasuk earlier. Vayered Moshe el ha'am vayomer aleihem. He spoke to them. Vayidaber Elokim es kol hadvarim ha'ela leibor. And then it says, it's a funny pasuk a little bit funny, because first it says, Vayered Moshe el ha'am vayomer aleihem. So Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Har Sinai and he spoke to the people. Parakaf. Hashem spoke the following things. So this is Moshe talking now, or is Hashem talking? Moshe. But it doesn't say Vayidaber Elokim es kol hadvarim ha'ela leimor. Okay, leimor, meaning Azayt Sazon, right? This is what I'm supposed to say. So Moshe Rabbeinu said the whole thing. He says the whole thing. Aseres HaDibros. So this is going on before, earlier. This is going backwards. Like this is an Ein Seder Muktam Muchar B'Torah. With McGill? Parakhov? We don't want to hear straight from Hashem. Okay, too late. You don't have to be afraid of that. It's a good thing. So Moshe Rabbeinu goes back up. So you have to say, I'm sorry to confuse you, but it's only because I'm confused. You have to say that that this is out of order. Hashem says first it says Moshe Rabbeinu came down, and then it says Hashem told Moshe to tell over the Aseres HaDibros. And then it says the Klal Yisrael said, "Oh, we don't want to hear the Aseres HaDibros from Hashem. We want to hear it from you." Okay, you just did hear it from me. And then Moshe Rabbeinu answers them, "Don't worry so much. It'll be good. It's Lamad Lasei system. It's an asayin to hear it straight from Hashem. But Ba'avor Tia Yerosei Al Panechem Levilti Tachto. But if you hear it straight from Hashem, great Yisoid, you will never do a chet. It's a good thing. Hear it very straight from Hashem. But you have to say Al Karachach that conversation between Klal Yisrael and Moshe Rabbeinu took place before Moshe Rabbeinu told them the whole Aseres HaDibros. So
wasn't there a difference between the first two?
okay, it doesn't say that here.
What does it say? It says it somewhere, no?
It says it somewhere, yeah.
Should we write down in the other part of it?
Yeah. Shnei Dibros Rishonos Mipi HaGvura Shema. So let me show you the medrash where if you don't look inside, you don't see it. Look inside. So the medrash in Shiurim, Rabbah. The second pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Yishakeni min shikas piu, ki toivim doidecha miyayin. So, Yishakeni.
Yayin's that good? Yayin's that good? That's the passage.
Ki toivim doidecha, you don't get yayin. Yeah, toivim doidecha miyayin.
What parak is it?
In where? Paragala, Shir Hashirim. Is that what you're asking me? So look at the Medrash. Rabbi Yehuda, Reb Nechemiah. Three-way machlekes. Rabbi Yehuda, Reb Shimon, and Reb Nechemiah. Rabbi Yehuda says like this. B'shah, meaning they're trying to make seder over here. They're trying to make seder. B'shah sheshamu Yisrael anoichi Hashem Elokecha. Yisrael heard anoichi Hashem Elokecha. Heard Hashem's voice. Niska Talmud Torah b'libam. The Talmud Torah became takua, was engraved, b'libam in their hearts. V'hayu l'meidim v'lo hayu meshach. At that moment, there was no shikha. They could learn. There was no forgetting. Ba'u eitzel Moshe v'amru Moshe Rabbeinu teyasa at pruzboyin. You become the shaliach beinoseinu. Shenemar. Now, lama namus. So they heard Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, like Gil says. They heard Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. They got to a madrega of no shikchas haTorah. I presume that if you hear Hashem talking, it's unforgettable. So there was no shikchas haTorah. But then the reaction to it was, this is not the way we want to do it. You speak to Hashem, Hashem speaks to you, and then you speak to us because it's too close for us. Lama namus. Chazru liyais l'meidim b'shaychim. So they started to hear further, and they would forget it. Amru, and then they said, and here's the chap. Then they said, this is no good either. Trying to adjust it. Amru, ma Moshe basar v'dam oiver. What? Moshe Rabbeinu is just a human. He's going to pass. Av Talmudai oiver, and his words are going to pass. Miyad chazru b'olam al Moshe. So they had charata, and they came to Moshe Rabbeinu. Amru lo Moshe Rabbeinu, levay yigal lanu pam shniyah. Give us a second chance at this. That was a mistake. We want to hear straight from Hashem. Amru lo Moshe Rabbeinu. Oh, I'm sorry. And they said, Halavai yishakeni rather, min shikais pihu. Like a nashika pihu, a nashikas piv. The lashon of the goyim is, the Gra is very romantic, beautiful. He says that that getting the Torah from Har Sinai in the Havamina, if you will, of getting it straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was called the Nashikas Piva, a Nashika Peh El Peh. Havaris Haruach, right? Nashikas Peh El Peh. It was like too much for them. Too much, that's too intense. So they said, okay, you'll be a shliach. That was too distant, apparently. And they said, no, Yishakeni min shikais pihu. The Goin says, I believe that whenever it's a hey, it's a lashon nekeva. Whenever it's a vav, it's a lashon zachar. And then hey and vav, pihu, is pihu. And that's what it means, ani v'hoi hoishi ana, zachar nekeva. So they said, Kitayvim doidecha. I'm interspersing the Vilna Gaon here. Kitayvim doidecha miyoyin. Let's go back to Plan A, where we're hearing it straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kitayvim doidecha. It's a new metaphor, right? Like a baby nursing. Miyayin is better than yayin. Who said that? What's so great about yayin, right? You say that? Yayin, like, okay. From a Frenchman, yeah. So what could be better? Toivim doidecha miyayin. So yayin, says the Gaon has two famous gematrios. One of them is 70, yayin is 70, and one of them is soid, and another one is 70. So 70, there's ayin panim l'Torah, 70 l'shonos. Every one thing, the Gaon points out, 70 am. Lashon of the Gemara, Lashon of the Mishnahs, there's 70 in Sanhedrin plus 2. So interesting. So every I think there's 70 nations plus Yishmael Ve'esav. So 70 is when one breaks up into parts, it breaks up into 70 parts. And that 70 parts is yayin. That's called yayin. It's beautiful. Right? Ayin Panim l'Torah is beautiful. Also very confusing. Unclear. I'm right, you're right. People don't like opinions, unless it's theirs. Like, confusing, right? Well, don't confuse me with the facts. There's one way to understand this, and I'm going to become a kanoi for this way, and that's the right way, that's the emes, and you're sheker. But of course it's not true. Ayin panim l'Torah. You have to know who's in the 70 and who's not. Not every shtus that everybody says is part of the ayin panim l'Torah, but there are a gesunter ayin panim l'Torah. That's for sure. So there's ayin panim l'Torah, and that's the ayin. But it's a lack of clarity. So when they first heard everything crystal clear, this is how the Gaon explains the Medrash. When they first heard everything in a crystal clear fashion, so that was straight. That was straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the clarity was such that there was no forgetting. It's clear. Something which is clear. I'll give you a morbid mashal. Dessler says this mashal is, imagine a person, chas v'shalom, goes to a doctor, and the doctor says, you're going to die. So later on he comes home and he's planning on his whole future, his vacation, his this and that. So his wife says, the doctor just told you you're going to die. Oh, I forgot. Nobody's forgetting such a thing. Like it doesn't go to the gender of shikha. Why not? Because it's clear. it's a clear thing, assuming the doctors have an idea what they're talking about. But it's clear. So there's no shikha. The Medrash goes further. This next opinion, from Nehemiah Amar, B'shah sheshama Yisrael lo yeh. That's anoichi. Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, no shikha. Then they heard also out loud from Hashem, lo yeh lecha Elohim acherim al panai. So b'shah sheshama Yisrael lo yeh lecha nekar Yetzirah miliba. There was no more Yetzirah. So two things happened at Har Sinai. A, no more shikchas haTorah. That's Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, which is like this. It's like the positive, right? Remember what I'm telling you. And lo yeh lecha is the negative. So the negative lo yeh lecha, no more Yetzirah. So with the lo yeh lecha came the no Yetzirah. Nekar Yetzirah milibim. They had a Yetzirah, but nekar, it was uprooted. So what's wrong with that? Then they came without a Yetzirah. They came to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they said, Moshe Rabbeinu, you be the shliach. His take on the pasuk. Miyad chazer Yetzirah limkoima. So the Yetzirah comes back. Okay. So it's so interesting that once Moshe Rabbeinu becomes the shliach, there's the Yetzirah. As long as they're hearing it mipeh shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's no Yetzirah. Chazer al Moshe v'amar lo Moshe Rabbeinu, this is no good, we don't want a Yetzirah. Before we were talking about shikha. We don't want a Yetzirah. Lavai yigol alanu pam shniya, let's try this again. Take two. Lavai yishakeni min shikais pihu. We want back the Neshikas Hapeh. Amar Lahem, and this is the second medrash that says the same lashon. Moshe Rabbeinu answered them, Ein Zoi Achshav. Now's not the time. Avalah Silavai. It'll be in the future. Tichsiv, Yecheskel said, Yecheskel Navi Vasi Roisi Eslev Ha'even Mibsarchem. In the first case of losing the shikha, they said, no, we want to go back. Yishakenim Shikas Piyu, Shenemar, Pasuk in Yirmiyahu, Nasati es Tairasai, Bikirbam Va'alibam Echtavenach. There will come a time where, as Yirmiyahu said, to put it all together, that Nasati es Tairasai, Bikirbam Va'alibam Echtavenach, and there will come a time, Moshe Rabbeinu says, that the Nevuah of Yecheskel will come true of Va'asiraisi Eslev Ha'even Mibsarchem, but B'intayim, it's not being written straight on your heart, and it's also, you have a Lev Ha'even. Your hearts are hearts of stone, so there is no Yishakeni Min Shikas Pihu. You'll have to make do with the Yayin. Yayin is the Ter Shabbat. So, in other words, so let's first of all let's get our chronology clear. What happened was there was a Havamina, and then a Maskana, and then a Tziduk in the Maskana. So the Havamina was Kilu. I'm using Gemara terms on a Kodesh Baruch Hu, but the Havamina was, or the natural thing would have been that a Kodesh Baruch Hu would speak out the Aseres Hadibrais to Klal Yisrael. And by the way, Rashi tells us that the Aseres Hadibrais Kollel Kol HaTorah Kula. If they would have understood that, if they would have heard the Aseres Hadibrais straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they would have had Taryag mitzvahs. So, okay, so they got up to the second of the Taryag mitzvahs. Pasuk says in Tehillim, Shtayim Zu Shamati. I heard two. We heard two from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They got up to the second Dibrais. They said, no. Yoter Midai, so they started hearing Mipi Moshe. And this probably explains the Mukta Mamucher in the Torah here. So they started hearing from Moshe. Then they stopped Moshe, and they said, no, Yishakeni. We want back the Neshikas Piyu, but he says, no, not now, later.
Which point they came back to Moshe? After the other?
After the second of the Aseres Hadibros. So Shtayim Zu Shamati.
And then they came to Moshe.
Then they were afraid they're going to die. So then I don't know if they heard third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I don't know, doesn't say.
It doesn't say.
I would guess. But they heard. And then he said, but they missed the Neshikas Hapeh. Like, what about the Neshikas Hapeh? So Moshe Rabbeinu says, Ein Zu Achshav. It's not the right time. Even though, L'chatchila, it was the right time. Seems to have been the right time. And they were the ones that protested. Chazal say, in the Medrash, that if they wouldn't have said this pasuk, if they wouldn't have said Daber Ato Imanu v'Nishma Vayidaber Imanu Elikim Pen Namus, if they wouldn't have had that bakasha, they would have never made the Egel Azav. Shita, because there wouldn't have been the Yetzer Hara. And it was almost like, if I can say a little bit more, it was almost when they made Egel Azav. Did you already forget? They heard the Aseres Hadibros, apparently, or at least they made the Egel Azav. So the Shikha, as soon as they said no, so what does it mean? It means they heard it, and then, just the chronology of it, they heard Anochi Hashem, they heard Lo Yelecha, and then they waited 40 days, right? Moshe Rabbeinu to come down. No?
I don't know.
What then?
Right after the second.
What's the other option?
I mean, the Pasha says that the Kavanah was to tell him all 10 the first day.
He was up in the mountain.
Yeah, but they could hear from the God.
Right, you want to add a medrash here? Medrash Moshe. Sounds right. I think you got the wrong religion.
He goes back up into the cloud by the end of the episode.
He's up in the right. That's right. He's up on the Har Sinai, and they're hearing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I say, no, we don't want to hear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So they stop hearing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So before they hear anything else, they say, hey, what happened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu?
Yeah, but the thing that they forgot is one of them that they heard directly, which was Elohim HaShavim, to build a golden
Because
calf.
as soon as they said, we don't want to hear it, they forgot. But they didn't have to, they forgot that too. That's what the Medrash says. They forgot everything. The Shikha came back and Yetzer Hara came back, and if there was no Shikha, no Yetzer Hara, there wouldn't have been an Egel. So now they're waiting for Moshe to come and say everything. K'nireh, I'm just saying, K'nireh. Where did they hear? They didn't hear it.
So that's psukim that you read it right at the beginning. V'yidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemor.
Right.
So that was for
After 40 days, tell them. They went.
Yeah.
You're disagreeing with me. Everybody's disagreeing with me? Chronology?
Everything, by the end of the surah that says Moshe goes back into the cloud.
After what? After he broke the luchos.
And, well, I don't know what was breaking his.
It doesn't. Vayidaber Elikim es kol advarim ha'ela. It doesn't say here Vayidaber Moshe el bnei Yisrael or Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe to say to bnei. That doesn't say that he said it to bnei Yisrael. Hashem told Moshe the 10 Commandments. 2 of them he said out loud, and 8 of them he said just to Moshe. Shtayim zu shamati, and the other ones I didn't hear. Moshe Rabbeinu had them. He comes down. They're asking Yishakenu and Shigasbi what happened to God's voice. There's a struggle. We do want it. We don't want it. Like, look. Let me. I'll speak like an American rabbi for a minute. Like, you could say. I mean, here's the drasha. You know, take away my Yetzer Hara. Right? Okay, I took away your Yetzer Hara. Give it back. I feel dead. I feel dead. You know, do you want to like remember everything? It's horrible. Thank God for shikha. You know, you can have an argument with your wife in the morning, and then by night everything's okay. Shikha, the bracha shikha. Shikha is a good tazach, not a bad thing. So, do you want to not have a Yetzer Hara? What are you going to do here? You know, walk around like a malach. The struggle, and these are the humanness. These are all human things. Yetzer Hara is a human thing. Shikha is a human thing. It's human. You can't beat yourself up for being human. So you're human. But on the other hand, we wish we were like godly. So the sequence. It's a difficult sequence. But the only way I think to understand this medrash is that there was take one. Klal Yisrael said stop. Okay, Moshe Rabbeinu said okay, we'll stop. And then they said we want to hear more, and he says lo achshav.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
What is it now?
who's the mouthpiece for the Jews? By Israel?
I mean, who was actually doing the talking?
Yeah.
That I presume that you mean like did it go in WhatsApp or something?
Who's saying we don't want to hear? Who's representing everybody?
The Zakanim. The Pashtus is the Zakanim. But let me just say something here. It's an interesting thing. Korach later on comes along and he says to Moshe and to Klal Yisrael, "Lo b'tzistaso al kal Hashem v'chichol ha'eda kulam kedoshim." Says Rashi, kulam sham. Everybody heard on Har Sinai. What did they hear? Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, lo yelecha. Huh? So like Moshe Rabbeinu, what do you lo b'tzistaso al kal Hashem? What are you making yourself such a nesius over here? Everybody has the koach to hear Hashem. Oh haraya shamanu, kulam shamanu. So like you have to understand korach. I mean like it sounds stupid because it's before the pasuk that they say we don't want to hear. You be the shaliach. So Klal Yisrael here in the Torah, korach was there too. Klal Yisrael in the Torah before the pasuk said we don't want to hear from Hashem. So it comes out this pasuk is extremely important, not just in the story of the Seres HaDibros, but it's important in setting down. It's like Shtelling Avek, the place of Moshe in the whole story of Klal Yisrael.
Maybe he disagreed. Maybe he wasn't with the Nevi'im. Didn't see him.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he was, but he. What was he saying? Kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim u'b'soicham Hashem lama tisnasu al kal Hashem. Like we're all holy. So he's saying we saw. I mean, you can say it like this: we saw that Klal Yisrael has a potential to hear straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he was really echoing. I'm thinking that he was really echoing the second taina of Klal Yisrael, V'yishakeinu min shikas fiyu. That Klal Yisrael, I don't want to be the Moshe Rabbeinu, and I don't think you should be the Moshe Rabbeinu. I think there should be no shaliach. That was his taina. Let's go back to direct. So he was questioning the whole philosophy, and okay, Klal Yisrael made a mistake. They made a mistake. They said we're going to die. Pen namus, right? We're going to die. Daber al yidaber imanu elikim pen namus. And Korach is saying, but they had karata from that. As soon as they stopped hearing, I mean, it's a good taina if you make this argument. What happened? They built an ego. It was a mistake. So it was a mistake. So Moshe Rabbeinu, let's go back to the original idea, Hashem's idea. There won't be any Yetzer Hara. There won't be any. It's a new Korach here I've just created for you. Tzaddik Korach, right? So the Korach comes and he says there won't be any Yetzer Hara. There won't be any Shikha. There'll be an Ashikas Peh with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this is beautiful. You see, like Korach came with his Adas. Korach came with a Talus Shekulai Tchelas. Bayis Malay Svar. It's not like we have tzitzis on the fringe. It's the whole Talus Shekulei Tchelas, like the whole. Yeah, what's a tzitzis? For zechira. But if you have the whole thing, which is Talus Shekulei Tchelas, what do you need zechira for? You don't need to. Uschartem is called mitzvos Hashem. You don't need zechira. There's no shikha. There's no shikha. What's the purpose of the tzitzis? The purpose of the tzitzis is that if you want to do an avera, right? So but if Klal Yisrael is hearing straight from, if you want to do an avera, you'll look at the tchelos, the rakia, there's the bayim, the rakia, like your what was it? Shalom Zacher. Like no need. There's no Yetzer Hara. Like it looks the Korach's in a whole new place here. Let's make everything the way it should have been. So Klal Yisrael made a mistake, so they have to suffer for this mistake. And now response of Moshe Rabbeinu. Response of Moshe Rabbeinu, not to Korach, but to Klal Yisrael, according to the Medrash, is Amar Lahem Ein Zoi Achshav. But Ein Zoi Achshav La'asalav Va'ihu T'chsiv Asiroisi Yisleva Even Mipsarchem.
They had a one time offer. They messed
Why?
They messed up.
Why?
Why was the one time offer?
It sounds like a reenactment of Chetah Elohishon. It's a new reality. There's no that. I'm sorry.
I said no.
It's not gonna work.
Everything changed.
Reenactment of what? Chetah Elohishon. Can't go back. Can't do tshuva.
It's a brand new reality you created.
Or the womb.
I always give this mashal, because it's the sixth of my mind. But we're at Buffalo. I used to give right after davening there. A few older people used to give a Gemara shir. So in the front, you remember the shul, right? In the front. So I used to give a few old Holocaust survivors used to come. So we finished the shir. So the guy says, we have a Torah at 10 o'clock. So and so died. They were rough guys. They were like, this guy, Jener hat gestorben, the Torah of Senazeger. He says, we're one man short. Come, 10 o'clock. So that Torah, like that time, I never did a Torah. I never touched a dead person. I never saw a dead person. I wasn't really was giving me the heebie-jeebies. The whole thing. So I'm thinking like it's a big mitzvah, so this and that. So I don't think that I was thinking about it for more than 20 or 30 seconds. But the guy says, "Okay, it's not for you." If you're thinking about it, you're disqualified. That's the Sadish Tvardir.
Thank you.
He asked me again about a year later, and yes, I am here. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm excited. Then I became part of the Chaver Kadisha. But there's this. But what I'm saying is that, like, sometimes in Megala, your koiches hanefesh. So, like, not what you want to do, but what's real. Like, so of course, everybody wants to hear straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but there were Megala. 1 second, this is scary, we might die. So once you're Megala, so Moshe Rabbeinu said, it's not that you don't get a second chance. You hear it? Fine. It's not that you don't get a second chance. That's not the point.
You're not holding it.
You know, yeah, like it's. Are you holding or are you not holding? And it's not about a second chance. It's not about doing tshuva. It's not about anything like that. It's not about making a mistake. It's about the gut reaction to hearing the divrei Hashem straight, the dvar Hashem yishakeni min shika ispil. The gut reaction was, whoa, stop! I can't handle it. Okay, they didn't hear it. They missed it. Yishakeni, this and that. They started speaking poetically. No, you were Magal. So nisht fardir. I think that's the pshat.
And a story.
A baby in the womb. She's called to a kula, olam sofer. Then he has to be born. Adam Arishon knows the Kadosh Baruch Hu. According to Leshem, it's all planned that he's not going to. It's like so. There's a bechina. The baby in the. What's the point over there? There's a roshem that's left, even though he doesn't have the klorkite, but the roshem is there. So that could be the chilik between Adam Arishon and Achrei Achet.
Roshem.
He had this direct knowledge. That leaves a roshem that's nishar Achrei Achet. So that's the bechina of.
Okay.
So that's the difference between being in him and
the Roshem.
And above him. So the Roshem is necessary. So the Medrash is basically dealing with that idea in its way.
Let me just add one piece before we close for today. And that Chazal tell us clearly that while HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just one piece, of course, that while HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Paska Zu Amasa. That's the Gemara in Shabbos Peiches. Paska Zu Amasa. What is it? What Zuma is that? The Zuma of the Nachash. So the Nachash injected a Zuama of Yetzer Hara. And when they heard Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Paska Zu Amasam, so it means that we were on the Madrega of Adam Arishon Koydem Achet. That's where we were holding. Now Adam Arishon Koydem Achet did Achet. Adam Arishon Koydem Achet, there was no Yetzer Hara, there was no Misa. There was no Misa. Is it really a fear? There's no Misa. The Adam Arishon Koydem Achet was in this bechina, as Rabbi Yitzchak said, of hearing straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It was straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There was no, and the Neshama as Nefesh Hachaim and the Tanya Kula Alba Loi Pligi was bifnim. The Atzmusei Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu was bifnim. Something like this. It's Nefesh Hachaim's divya, not mine. Something like this matzav. So this matzav of Shtayim Zu Shamadu, that we heard these two first of the Aseres and Dibros, and we were there. We were redeemed. This was Mashiach. This was the Geula. This was the Tikkun of the Chet of Adam Arishon. And then they said, and then we read and root it all by saying, no, we want a Shaliach. We don't want to go direct. Pen Namus. So that they wouldn't have made of an Egel Azav. There would have been a Geula. There was the Tikkun of the Chet at that moment. Comes Kairach after this, after the whole story, and he says, Laba Tisnaso Kal Hashem, you're being ma'akiv the Geula. There could have been a Geula here. There could have been no more Yitzhar, no more Misa, no more Shitcha. What are you doing? This wasn't just like politics, like Kairach, Moshe. Kol Ha'eda Kulat Kedoshim. What does that mean? Ubesoicham Hashem. What does that mean? Atzmusai, he was tidying. I don't want to say the Korah was tidying the Balatanya. That's how. But he was understanding that at least there was a clear Hava Amina, and let's make it say it stronger. There was a clear possibility that Gam Moshe Avar, Gam Yisrael Avar, like the Bender says, he's going to pass. We're going to pass. He's a human, and he did it. So maybe we can do it. And Moshe Rabbeinu is arguing with a sort of maybe an unpopular argument in a way. It's an unpopular. Lo yachshav, ein zoi achshav, ein zoi achshav. There will come a time. So there will come a time to what? There will come a time that you'll hear Hu yashvienu shenis le'nei kol chai. Hu yashvienu shenis le'nei kol chai. There'll be a second hashma. That's what we're singing about there in Kedusha. Le'nei kol chai. The whole world will see that Klal Yisrael is hearing straight. Hey, go al tieschem. Achar is gracious. So there will come a time, but this is what Moshe Rabbeinu says here to Klal Yisrael, and in my opinion, later to Korach, that we were already thinking about it too much. We weren't holding. We weren't holding. Moshe Rabbeinu was hoping that it would be the Gula. Everybody was hoping it would be the Gula. They saw they blew it, so to speak, and Moshe Rabbeinu said because there's no going back. But here's where let's leave it until Thursday. Here's what's interesting. When Shlomo HaMelech says Yishakeni B'Shiko Ispiyu, he's talking about he's not giving a history lesson here like I am. What he's talking about is the struggle of Klal Yisrael for all of the generations that we miss HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Yishikas HaPeh. Meaning, what that is a struggle and a yearning for the Geula. Yishakeni. What we're struggling for is, so we said, we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu, step back. You don't want to hear, you don't want to hear. The whole Shaar Shiurim, by the way, is exactly that. That's exactly what the whole Shaar Shiurim is. The first chance, the second chance, the third. You said no. You said no. But again, I just want to reiterate, it's not the pshat. You said no and that's it, penalized. Look, you can't. You said no by the fact that you had this chash means that you weren't holding by it. So wait another year, wait till the Mashiach comes. There's a nevuah for this. Hasiroisi leiv ha'aven. The leiv ha'aven will go away. And you won't be so worried about this or worried about that, worried about not having Yetzer Hara. Well, what's life going to be without a Yetzer Hara? It just reminds me, they always say over in yeshivas for the Chavetz Chaim, I don't know if I never saw it inside, but they always say that the Chavetz Chaim says, do you really want Mashiach? Do we really want a time without a Yetzer Hara? What fun is, what kind of, do we want to really have a life we're all saying we want Mashiach now. But do we really want? So the answer is when we're victims of our Yetzer Hara, of course, who needs us? But on the other hand, the struggle is the struggle of life. So the Yishakeni that Shlomo HaMelech, the whole Shaar Shiurim is describing that struggle. That's the struggle of Klal Yisrael. We want it, we don't want it. We want it, we don't want it. What's the what we want to be humans? We want to be godly. So we have to take that back. Yisrael Thursday to the Nefesh Hachaim Shita of. What does it mean? But by the way, I don't think without learning this mentorship and the guide inside, it's possible to even understand what he says. Because I look here at the reports, he's always censor himself one way or the other. But make up your mind. But it's so pashut that he's saying that yes, we could, and yes, we did, and yes, we will, but we don't have HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Atzmusay Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside of us. Maybe because we pushed it away, but we still don't have it. It's just chayfei foleinu.
Is the Eine Kol Chai a mila that didn't exist by the first Gula?
Yeah.
So maybe that's the whole point. That if you have to go through